Hello, everybody! Welcome to the aftermath of the Emoji Movie Review Spectacular. I am Mumkey Jones.
And I am E-Rich.
E-Rich, the most popular episode we've ever done. Last week, we have like 10 or 11,000 views on there. I never thought I'd see the day where an episode of It Kino would get more than like 3,000.
I learned it from watching you, okay? God damn it, guys.
What does that mean?
That's the anti-drug thing. You guys want us to stop.
Why are you saying that now?
They want us to stop, but they're just gonna get us to keep going. Shit like the Emoji Movie.
Yeah. So just like, we watched a really good movie, the Emoji Movie, and now we watched another really good movie, Detroit. Hey. So for the 99% of people who don't know what Detroit is, because it's probably not going to be a well-known movie for my audience. What is Detroit?
Detroit is the fictional city from the movie RoboCop, where... No, actually, Detroit is a real city in the state of Michigan.
What is this movie? You fuck.
Okay, so Detroit... So, like, I think I had heard a lot about this movie before it ever fucking came out, because I think what happened was that they weren't entirely sure what they were shooting when they shot it. So, it was called Untitled Detroit Film for quite a while.
They didn't know what they were making?
I don't know. It just seemed like they were shooting it for a long time, or it was on the shelf. I see. I don't know what I'm fucking talking about here, so I'm just going on what I know off the top of my head. So basically, Catherine Bigelow, we knew that she was going to shoot a movie about Detroit. We didn't know anything about plot. We didn't know anything about characters. Like, all I really knew was that John Boyega was going to be in it. And Catherine Bigelow is famous for making Zero Dark 30 and The Hurt Locker. One of those movies I've seen, The Hurt Locker, that won Best Picture, I believe, the year that it was released. Maybe it wasn't deserving of that, but it was a quite good movie.
Wasn't that movie only like 75 minutes long?
I don't know. I saw it the year it came out, and I don't remember much about it. All I remember is that Jeremy Renner was in a bomb disposal suit. That's about it.
Well, Detroit, the latest from Catherine Bigelow, so it's probably going to be nominated for Best Picture. Likely deservingly so, just because of the material and what it's about, and the massive scope. It's the kind of shit that the Oscar people really love to see. Yeah. Man, okay, let's talk about the good. I really liked a lot of the cast in this. I think that Finn from Star Wars was really good. This is the first time I've seen John Boyega in a non-Star Wars film. I don't know if he's in a lot of other things yet.
You got to check out Attack the Block. That's a fucking great movie.
Well, I really liked him doing an American accent in this movie. I was like, okay, yeah, British black guy, cool, I've seen that. But when he's doing his American accent, oh boy, howdy, do I get... My dick gets nice and tingly down there, and I think, that John Boyega, he's a good John Boyega, you know what I'm saying?
He's a good boy, didn't do nothing.
I didn't know his name, but I've recognized him in other things, but Will Poulter... playing like the main antagonist of the film, like the young cop who's leading the thing, and I really liked him in this movie too. And then there were two guys, like one cop and one army guy, who both just looked like Seth Rogen. It's like, who the fuck are they?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people in this movie where I look at them and I say, I feel like I've seen them before. A lot of the black actors in this I've probably seen. Anthony Mackie has a pretty small role. He plays the Falcon in the Captain America movies.
No, he plays the Falcon in Detroit.
In Detroit. He actually straps on his wingsuit and kills all the bad cops. It's great. It's actually a surprise in the movie.
Speaking of the cast, I do want to mention one thing. There are some actors who are so legendary for one role that they should be banned from ever acting ever again.
Are you talking about John Krasinski?
I'm talking about Jim from The Office.
Yes, that's the actor's name.
Yeah, I know, but that's not his name. He is Jim from The Office. This movie is almost over, and then Jim from The Office walks in doing his best Saul Goodman impression, and it's like, it takes you out of the movie immediately because all I can see is fucking Jim from The Office.
Well,
why do they keep casting people who shouldn't be casted as anything else?
It's hilarious because he shows up like 30 minutes before the end of the movie or something.
Yeah.
And so he's just peeking his head into like this interrogation room. And I swear, as he leaves the room, he makes one of Jim's faces. It's fucking insane.
Because the problem is, John Krasinski pretty much just is Jim. Like, that character was just him. It was just him. So when I watch a movie where he's not playing Jim, it looks like Jim is in a movie trying to act and be something else. So it really takes me out of it. And that's nothing against him. He's a fine actor. But he was too good in that one role for me to ever take him seriously as anything else ever again.
Yeah, you have to watch the Benghazi movie that Michael Bay did, where he's the main character.
God,
and he's a soldier who's fighting them.
Oh my
them
God!
Terrorists.
So does it feel like it's Jim, or does he feel like a different character?
He feels like a different character, but maybe you're
good.
more biased in saying, "Oh no, he's just fucking mugging."
So. I liked a lot of the cast. I think there were some really solid performances. I'm expecting to see some Oscar buzz around some of these guys. Hopefully,
you thinking
Will
the
Poulter,
main guy, the singer?
The singer? Yeah, I liked him a lot, but I think it was really Will Poulter and John Boyega who really stole the show for me in this one.
Okay.
As for negatives, there is a major problem that I had with the film.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes, as I always do, and every single review that was positive had the word imperfect in it. They would say, the film is imperfect, but... And I was thinking, why do they feel the need, every single one of these people, to let us know that the film has problems in their, like, positive blurb at the top of Rotten Tomatoes? But the reason why I think it's imperfect is because there was a point in the film where I thought, that was a pretty good movie. It was kind of long, but it was pretty good. At that point, when I thought it was over and I said that, I was only halfway through the movie.
Yes. So
like
basically,
the movie. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. No. So the movie basically has a major set piece of this house that the Algiers Hotel kind of incident takes place in. That is most of the movie. There's like a beginning and an ending that do like almost completely separate things from what the like core of the movie is trying to do. For me, that core of the movie works up until a point. It probably works about an hour or so of it. And then I just felt no tension after that hour. You just see so much of the same shit of them getting people in and out of the house into different rooms that the tension built up to a point and then it just snapped. And I was just like, okay, well, I don't really care what's going on. The shading on the characters is decent at times, but there's so many people in the house that I sometimes couldn't figure out who was where. Who had died. I know one or two people had died and one had escaped or something. But, like, basically they keep doing the same things to these people and interrogating them, and it's brutal, but you can only showcase the same kinds of brutality again and again and again before I just lose any sense of, like, tension.
Yeah, the whole time I was watching it, I felt like I was watching a watered-down, less tense version of Green Room, which is one of my favorite movies of the last few years. Because, it's this group of people who get caught up in this terrible situation where they're trapped at gunpoint, in a one room by all these fucking crazy white supremacist people. So it's very similar, but this movie, at least Green Room switched it up, like every 10 minutes there's something different happening. This one, it was just a full hour of... Like, they would say the same dialogue over and over, and I get that you're going for realism and that you want us to feel what those people felt in that moment. But when I feel as trapped watching your movie as the characters feel held at gunpoint by a crazy police officer, maybe do some cutting around. Maybe I don't need to hear him ask them where the gun is over 100 times, because I get it.
Yeah. So for as much of the movie's runtime as I can tell, a lot of it is quite accurate with the kind of details we have about this individual event as part of these Detroit riots. But some of the character shading on like the cop, I'm not entirely sure how much, because like basically the movie begins. There's some background on the riots, some insert historical shots of archival footage and stuff, and then also actors kind of going through that kind of riot set piece type thing, and then the basically we see this cop who's the main bad guy. I guess Will Poulter is his name, in the actor's name, I guess. He is chasing down a black man who is robbed a store, and he shoots the guy, and the guy eventually dies under a bus or whatever. I'm not entirely sure if that is what this cop did in real life, or if this is kind of fabricated to kind of set this character. Basically what they're telling you is this guy is a fucking psycho who's just going to shoot anybody he can in the back if necessary. And he's basically rapped on the knuckles for it and then sent back out, which it's a good signifier for how kind of the cops were not properly kind of kept back from doing those brutal things. Mm-hmm. But I'm not entirely sure that actually happened. So
it's good from a movie point of view to show us that this is a character who is more than willing and even is trigger happy to shoot just black people who he assumes are doing wrong things. So it really builds the tension for when he suddenly has all these people held up in the hallway. Mm-hmm. But like, then it goes on for so long that I'm like, okay, like at this point, you know, just fucking shoot him or don't. Like, I've been watching this for an hour.
There's only so much of a psychopath just kind of yelling about who has the gun and pretending to kill people and stuff like that I can take before I just say, okay, well, you've built the tension. You're not ratcheting it up at all. And then when they do actually do things, I had lost the kind of feel for it before then.
Now, let me get this podcast about a movie that we saw really political and make everybody uncomfortable. Because I have a question for you, E-Ridge.
Sure.
When they're giving us the little history lesson on the Detroit riots, mm-hmm. Is it safe to say that both the cops and the citizens are fucking retarded?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm not racist to say that attacking firefighters who are trying to stop a fire that you started is like savage and fucking retarded and crazy.
One of the things I really loved about this movie is that it presents people as individuals, or presents the mob as like, some people in the mob are doing really shitty fucking things they shouldn't be doing. Some of the people are just angry at the kind of injustices they see around them. And basically, I think what the movie is trying to show you with the guy who shoots the starter pistol thing, where he is playing a game with them before, he's basically showing you that how black people supposedly feel is like they've got a gun on them at all times. And he was trying to illustrate that for everyone else. And what the movie is basically doing is, that's what they feel like when they start rioting everything. That's what it actually does become. Like, it becomes the police state that they really feel like they're living under. And it's just terrible for everyone. It puts everyone on edge. It makes everyone make shitty decisions at times. It enables the worst people in society to do bad things. But I do like the fact that it does show that there are some people who are just not interested in rioting. There are some people who are rioting who are trying to control the other rioters. Like, I think the movie does a good job of showcasing like a kind of a broad category of people who are angry.
It's another great example of George Lucas's famous line, "There are heroes on both sides."
Yes.
They truly are.
Evil is everywhere.
Yeah. I think the worst way you can respond to injustice is by burning down your own neighborhood and then attacking firefighters who didn't do anything to you. Yeah. So that really pissed me off, but then what's great about this movie is it shows how somebody who is perfectly innocent can be just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and just because they were black, like, that's why he died that night. Yeah. And of course, with the singer and his friend, like, they weren't, like, they're not really even from this area of Detroit. They're like just in the neighborhood to do a show, and they're trying to get home on the bus, and the bus gets attacked, so they have to get off. So I think that is the perfect example of like, oh, you want to see racism in action and what it looks like? Yeah, here's a guy who did literally nothing. He literally didn't do nothing,
Yeah.
And just because of his skin color, he got killed on this night. So I think I have to applaud the movie for that. I think if you show this movie to somebody who says that there is no such thing as privilege in any way, be like, oh, well, I mean, look what happened in the 60s, you know?
Yeah.
But like 50 years later, there are still similar things happening. We get stories about cops like every other day. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm not trying to take the cucker route, but I think this movie is a realistic way to represent these ideas that the cucks like to put out there.
I think this movie has a great line that anyone who has ever protested against blacked.com would love, which is when the police officer who is questioning the women who are trying to get some of that dick from these black men. Yeah. And he says, what, we aren't good enough for their say? It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, why you fuck these Negroes? Well, we ain't good enough for you?
Yeah.
Good question. Is it bad that the whole movie I was hoping I would see those girls' tits, and then when I finally do, it's like in a stressful, horrible way? I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm enjoying this at all.
Well, yeah, I do think that this movie does a good job of showcasing the way that these men kind of take their ability to have this power and they just kind of blindly fuck people over just because. The women, the black men in this movie, like, they're all treated differently at times, where it's certainly better to be a white woman than a black man in the society here.
But not in this situation, because the white women were treated just as bad as them. Like, they were fucking getting pistol whipped in the face and everything.
Yeah, but they weren't getting shot.
Yeah, well, the other guys weren't supposed to be getting shot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did kill the one guy, Carl, the guy with the starter pistol.
Yeah, so. Well, as we all know, Carl is the only one who actually deserved it, because he was firing at police officers.
Yeah, this movie shows there are a lot of fucking dumb people who do dumb shit during this thing. Yeah. But where I come down on it, like, from a movie standpoint, you might say, oh, well, he fucking called the cops there, basically, by firing on them when they think there are snipers around. But you can do stupid fucking shit. That doesn't mean you need to get killed for it.
I agree, but I think if you're firing even a toy gun at police officers, you should not be surprised that you're going to die about 5 minutes later.
He got what he was basically asking for.
Pretty much.
But, yeah.
Doesn't necessarily warrant a death sentence, but you're so fucking dumb you might as well be dead.
That's the Darwin Awards for you.
I think the saddest I felt during the film, like, there's that, you know, big tense hour-long scene in the hallway with everybody held up at gunpoint, but the moment where I felt my insides drop, like, oh my god, this is the worst fucking horrible situation, was when John Boyega is put into the prison cell for something that he just had nothing to do with. And it tore me apart.
Yeah, great fucking scene. His hands start shaking as soon as
when he realizes, like, what's happening to him.
Yeah, as soon as the cops starts
to lose it.
You're in the suspect list rather than the...
Yeah. Oh, it's brutal. I really want to get some Oscar love for him. I think he was so good in this movie.
Yeah, and I think he also does a good job of portraying that more even-headed black person who...
Yeah, the guy who everybody thinks is an Uncle Tom, but really he's trying to help them.
Yeah. But I mean, I think he then understands that he is kind of siding with the white people where he maybe shouldn't, coming from a straight moral standpoint of, you can go along with these people because the other people are rioting, but then as soon as those people start to brutalize and terrorize your people, it's not right to stand with them anymore. I think he kind of understands that by the end, but it's such a fucking tense situation that you kind of can't take action there.
I didn't really ever see him as siding with white people. He was a security guard to protect a store from being destroyed. Like, you can be on any side and want to protect.
No, but he literally goes over to the white guys, gives them coffee, and
he does that so that they
offering.
Well, he does that because he doesn't want to get, like, attacked by them. Like, he wants them to know he's you know, one of the good ones.
Sure, but that is like a servile role. Like, so he's basically telling them, look,
it's survival,
I'm going to give you stuff. Yeah, totally. But, like, after a certain point, when you realize these people are doing terrible things to other just normal people, like, it doesn't matter what skin color they are. Anyone who is brutalized like that, you shouldn't be standing on the side of the people who are brutalizing those people. But I think he understands that by the end of the movie, or even by the time they're in the house and shooting people and stuff. So, yeah, the more I talk about the movie, the more I really love what it did. It's just in the moment while I'm watching it, it lost some of that that intensity for me.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 hour movie that I think would be better served at like an hour 50, maybe.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like the whole last 10 minutes of it's a subplot of a guy. The guy wants to quit being a professional singer and join a church choir. Like, cut that shit out. I don't give a fuck. Come on.
But I do think that serves the larger note of him deciding he is not going to perform for white people or even a white audience. Or
But
any
they
audience
did that
that
in
isn't black.
2 earlier scenes. Then, like, the entire last part of him being cold in his apartment, like, that is better served at the end, where they show, like, they have the little paragraph of what happened to each character. So we see him do this for 10 minutes, and then it tells us that again in a paragraph. Just give me the paragraph at the end. I don't need a scene of him applying for a job at a church. Like, we already saw him at the record company saying, I don't want to make the white people dance. Okay, that's fine. Just cut it there. Just cut it there.
For me, though, his character's evolution is not just saying no to white people. It's saying, I will use my talents, but for our community. So
Yeah.
I like that as a part of his character's progression, and saying, I can use this, even if it's not going to make him rich and famous and give him any kind of actual success. It gives him some spiritual or community kind of success, and he's trying to enrich himself and others rather than just, oh, I'm sorry, not enrich. He's trying to make himself and others better rather than enriching himself. So, yeah.
Alrighty, Rich. Would you recommend this film, and if so, to what audience?
This is interesting to me because white audiences probably need to see this movie just to get a perspective. I feel like we don't understand as a society how the other half lives, or how other people really go across life, like, and any movie that kind of shows you how somebody else lives and gives you that idea is useful. So yes, definitely I would recommend this movie. My problem kind of becomes, as a movie, it has some failings, but like, obviously this is probably going to be one of the better movies of the year. Don't see half the shit that's in the theaters. Do see something like Detroit, because it's very well made, it's very well acted. Even if it's too long or loses some of its potency, it's still got a good message. It's still got interesting character choices and acting, and it's just a really well done, well made movie, and it's something that more people should experience. Empathy.
I'll say that this is a film that takes place in the 1960s about police brutality against black people. And I, a 22-year-old white boy living in 2017, walked out of this film suddenly very afraid of the police. So I think that if you're a black person, this movie will be a straight-up horror film. Because if I felt scared driving home when I saw a cop, like, oh my god, fucking get that cop away from me. If I felt that way, maybe if you're, a faint of heart black person, maybe don't watch Detroit. Maybe it'll fucking trigger the shit out of you. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I was having a hard time saying black people should see this movie, because it is just watching your people being brutalized for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And like,
well, I mean, did they like Roots? Do they like Django Unchained? I don't know.
That's the thing. There's people in the black community now who are basically saying, we've had so many fucking movies about slavery. We've had so many movies of just seeing people get whipped. Whether it's fake or not, it's depicting people in a certain condition that we've already seen before. What is it adding to the conversation? What is it like? 12 Years a Slave is a very well made movie. It's really good, but that should probably be one of the last of those movies we really need. I think movies like this are better. at portraying like a more recent problem, and I think even though it's like 50 years ago, it still rings true today in a lot of ways.
Oh,
And
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
I'm not saying, and this isn't going to, because we always need to put this out there. This isn't to say all cops are racist and all
Yeah,
cops
absolutely.
abuse their power. No, like that's one of the messages of the movie, that there are two good cops and then there's like the one bad one, and the two good cops do the right thing at the end, and then they all get off anyway because it's
Yeah.
the 60s and they're white and the jury's all white. But the message to take away is, yeah, there are heroes and villains on both sides. We see that with the writing. We see that with, you know, the poor musicians who were in the wrong hotel at the wrong time. We see it with this fucking 24-year-old white cop who decides to just have a massacre one day. So just understand, my people, my white brethren out there who are about to type in cuck in the comments, just understand that the message you need to take away is that some cops are fucking bad and some black people do deserve it. That's all I gotta say.
You're a fucking race traitor, Monkey.
It's almost like everything isn't black and white.
Oh! Shit!
Hey, everybody knows that my favorite book is Native Son. They should know where I stand on films and books about black people going through this kind of shit. What do you got, Rich? Anything else?
Yeah, this is a decent movie. Go see it.
Just decent. Would you say it's imperfect?
They didn't do nothing.
They didn't do nothing. It's true.
Well, wait, is it imperfect? Yeah, absolutely. I think when they say those things, they're basically saying this is a movie that has some flaws.
Yeah.
They just have to kind of couch that in, but the performances are great, and the actor, like, they basically have to say this is a great fucking movie. Then they have to say, well, it does have problems, but they don't really want to admit the problems in it.
Real quick before we go, I just want to address all of the lovely comments we got on the Emoji Movie episode. A lot of people can't tell how ironic Mumkey was being, or if it was a joke. E-Rich, I mean, what do you think? How ironic was Mumkey being last episode?
You have something called irony poisoning, Monkey.
What does that mean?
It's basically you've you've dived so deeply into irony that you cannot tell whether you are being ironic or not anymore. No, I think there's 60% irony, 40% reality.
I think all the points I made were valid. I mean, people say exactly what I thought they were going to say. Like, oh, but I know that it's a movie for kids, but that's a dumb excuse. Every movie should be good for literally everybody. And I think, no,
fuck that.
Like, if this movie was a straight to Netflix thing, then I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. I think it's because it's being presented, you know, mass distribution with like this big marketing thing. That everybody is so obsessed with hating on it. But I do genuinely think that some things can just be made for like 5 and 6-year-olds, and that's perfectly fine. And if they enjoy it, that's a good thing. And that not everything needs to be as good as Pixar. And also, to address a point somebody said, Mumkey, when's the last time you saw Toy Story? It's not just a bunch of toy puns and shit. The point I was making was that those films have a lot of jokes that are of that pun caliber. I know that the movies are very deep and important and good for the whole fucking family, but like the cheap toy puns with Mr. Potato Head and the pig guy, those are some of my favorite jokes in the film. That doesn't bring Toy Story down to Emoji Movie's level. I'm just saying they both incorporated puns based off of popular things that everybody knows, and that's what I liked. So shut the fuck up.
I think let's close it up with a sentiment that everyone can agree with. Fuck you, Mumkey.
Oh, no!
No,
Sony paid me $20 to give it a good review.
Yeah.